Let's bring in our first guest into the conversation. We're talking to economist and Ateneo de Manila University Professor Alvin Ang. Good afternoon, Professor. Welcome to StoryCon. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon to
Hi,
all of you.
Professor.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
We're sorry for getting to you so late. Nagkaroon kasi ng unscheduled press conference si President Marcos. But I don't know if were you able to tune in?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was
What did you think
listening
of
as
it?
well. Well, that's one thing that I think I was waiting for. It should be some kind of yung leader mo talaga yung magsasalita in times like this, no? But of course, we are all waiting for something else. Like yung sinabi nyo nga, hindi na isama yung diesel and gas excise tax reduction. But it might be, sabi niya, it'll be tabled maybe tomorrow in the meeting. So hopefully, the things are, I mean, the president himself announcing these things will be it's very crucial, meaning that these are events and situation of national emergency and importance.
So, sir, you're
Nabanggit
for removing the excise taxes, or at least reducing the excise taxes on diesel and gas. Is that right? Kasi we've also heard some back and forth among
The economic
several groups
community,
of economists. Yeah. Na some are for, some are not for removing the excise taxes.
Well, the excise taxes, ako personally, I support kung pwedeng matanggal muna kasi they it's not that big, but at least it takes away 6 pesos sa diesel yata and about
Yes, sir.
8-10 pesos sa gasoline. So it helps a bit. Ang challenge kasi natin dito, like what Secretary RC was saying, is that when you remove yung mga ganong blanket, you benefit even those who do not really need the subsidy at this point, no? But
Yun ang walang grumento.
yun ang sinasabi ng yan. However, ang challenge kasi natin, katulad nga nung sabi niyo, pagbibigay ng targeted subsidy, our problem is we don't have a very organized and administrative capacity to give it away. Like yung sinasabi niyo kanina, Ami, na ang tagal na yung subsidy, hindi pa rin nakukuha ng lahat. Kasi nga, I don't know, meron na tayong national ID, it's supposed to be working very well. Dapat nagagamit na may QR, etc. Indonesia, Malaysia, they're able to do it, They're also doing some kind of targeted subsidy in diesel. They're able to do it. Tayo, yung administrative cost pa rin ang nagpapatagal at nagpapabagal sa maraming proseso na pwede na sana nating na-digitalize dati pa.
Prof, tungkol sa sinabi niya na may cost-benefit analysis sa gobyerno, na better na wag tanggalin yung IBAT at ayudan na lang ang focus ng windfall ng IBAT, no? From your vantage point, no? Parang all things constant. Naputol ata si
Freeze.
Ronald.
Nag-freeze.
Oh, pinatawag ni Archbishop.
Nag-freeze.
Yeah, I think I can second guess yung
Yan na,
sinasabi
yan na.
ni
Yes, sir.
Ronald.
Yes, sir. Ronald, you want to
Yan na,
repeat that or
Alicia.
you want to continue? Naputol ka, Ronald.
Naputol.
Oo.
Walang audio. Ronald.
Sir, baka you can second guess nga his question kasi
Yeah,
wala
I
siyang
think
audio.
I'm second guessing yung sinasabi
Oo.
kasi niya, what is that cost benefit analysis? Will it really benefit a larger segment of society? Well, definitely kasi yung VAT is supposed to be it's for the majority. Ang issue lang kasi natin doon sa VAT na yun ay like you said, no, windfall yun, no? There's no issue with the windfall, but I think our concern is really how it is going to be used and implemented. Yun yung challenge doon. And if it's done right, I think it will benefit more rather than the oil sector and the oil industry alone.
Saka, Professor,
Ay-
nabanggit nyo yung concern na ang matutulungan, halimbawa yung sa excise tax, ang matutulungan yung mga kukunti lang na mas maraming matutulungan. Hindi ba kailangan bilangin natin kung ilan yung mga milyon-milyon na magbe-benefit kaysa kukunti lang naman ng mga mayayaman dito eh. And we are all affected by the gasoline prices. Ano ngayon kung makinabang yung ano ba namang percentage ng populasyon natin yung mayayaman na of course makikinabang sila, pero mas marami yung I think about 97% natin can be classified as middle and lower
Yeah.
and very poor, no? Baka mas
Yeah.
mataas pa. Bakit natin po problemahin kung yung mayayaman makinabang? Di ba? Kung blanket cap. I'm asking an
Yeah.
economist, siguro sabihin,
Oh.
tanga ka kasi ako. Hindi ka kasi ekonomista.
Grabe ka naman, Ami.
Baka yun ang sabihin sa akin Pero ako, ganun na iniisip ko lang naman. 1 + 1 = 2.
Parang,
These are
Diba?
layman's,
Yeah.
these are questions by the ordinary people eh.
Yeah.
Di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yun nga, well, pag ganun ang magiging approach natin, so pag mga blanket, kasi madali pag blanket no? The administrative cost is very low, almost zero, tanggalin mo lang. Ang implication
Yeah,
lang nga
efficient yan
Oo, madali. Ang challenge nga lang doon, yun nga, yung mga ayaw mo naman bigyan na yung hindi nahihirapan makikinabang pa doon sa ano na yon, sa proseso na yon. So, one way of doing it actually, yun na nga, is sana nga na-digitize na yung maraming bagay sa atin. And that helps very easily to do these things. Yung percentage na sinasabi mo, Ami, maliit nga, pero they can demand for more, Imagine, yung tinanggal mong 10 pesos, nagpakarga sila everyday ng full tank. So, nawalan din yung kakayanan ng mas maliliit na ang kaya lang nila
Sana mapupunta yung
200,
everyday na
200.
full tank.
Yun ang magiging implication no. So, yung may more purchasing power will maximize it. At yung mga ordinary na kukunti lang na nakaramdam ng relief, but they cannot maximize it because they don't have the purchasing power like those smaller number of people but have more power, more purchasing power to buy more. Yun yung logic ng wag mong ibigay sa lahat.
you know what? To be honest, I'm still. To be honest, I don't know why we're still debating this. Day 44 na ng war today.
Yeah.
Today is day 44.
No.
And we started
No one is getting relief.
we started talking about this within the first 2 or 3 days that the US and Israel bombed Iran about the suspension of excise taxes. And to this day, we have no indication whether Malacanang will trigger that mechanism at all. And yet, you're right, Professor, you wrote a Facebook post that kind of went viral recently, and you wrote that we are now in a Darwinian moment, meaning that this is a new normal. What did you mean by that?
Well, this is saying that we are not going back to the pre-attack conditions, which is February 28. No? So even if oil had gone down this week, temporary lang yan, like what Ronald also said, that if the ceasefire, even if it holds, we still have to prepare for the worst. It will not go back to that level na 60, 70 like before. In fact, even the World Bank and ADB in their latest economic outlook, I think last week, they were looking at from the average forecast of $70 per barrel, they were saying given na yung plus $20 per barrel. So we're looking at $100 basically per barrel. So where we are right now. So that means this will stay for a long period of time. Plus, the damage in the oil infrastructure in the Middle East is so much. I mean, even if the Strait of Hormuz is open, maglilinis pa yun, tanggalin pa yung mga mines and so on. So, the supply condition is not going to go back to 100%. We're looking at earliest 3 to 6 months, could last throughout the year and even baka early next year pa kung matapos ang gera ngayon. So yun yung natin dito. I mean that's the Darwinian moment. It's not going to go back to before. So that's why the mindset of everybody is also to adjust, adjustment. Kasi if we're just trying to protect yung past condition na makakabalik ka agad, it will be very expensive. Not only for the Philippines, for the rest of the world. I think that's why even the subsidies of our neighboring countries, may mga limit sila. They will only apply to a certain period of time. Hindi rin nila kayang i-sustain yan for a long time because nga, it's either we adjust demand, shift the way we use energy, yan ang magiging new normal natin dito.
Sir, do you mean to say it will never go back at all, or it will never go back it will not go back in the next year and a half?
Yeah, no, not that it will not go back at all, but it will not go back immediately.
Yes, sir.
Even if that's a possibility, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yes, sir. I asked that kasi I do remember the time, and I'm sure Ronald also remembers the time na yung langis nasa single digit single digit pa before the before the invasion of Kuwait. It was nasa 7-8 pesos lang ata
Wow.
ang langis.
Mga 7 or 8.
Good old
Di ba,
days.
Ami? Nasa Malacanang pa tayo nun eh.
Saka yung peso, at saka yung exchange
Yeah,
rate.
exchange rate
Mababa
kasi
pa
laking
exchange
bagay
rate.
din
Malakas
nun
ang
eh.
peso nun,
Yeah,
no?
laking bagay din nun eh.
Oo, marami namang factors yun.
Mm.
Kaya ganyan.
And so if you think
Nagsasalita, Ronald, your audio is
Oh,
ano?
Ronald, your audio. Baka
Nagsasalita si
nakamute
Ronald
ka.
eh.
Ano ba?
if you think, Professor, the assumption is we're not going back to the pre-war environment for a long time, what lessons should the government take away from this? I mean, apart from energy diversification, which of course will take time to change the mix of our energy consumption.
Well, siguro yung extreme planning, no? Like this is like COVID, yung extreme yung outcomes na nangyari sa atin. So we have to like prepare very well. Siguro at this point, very critical yung we have trigger mechanism analysis. Look like hindi pwedeng nag-expire yung like yung nangyari sa $80 per barrel na nasa which was already in the trade law, but it
Yeah.
expired, no?
Yeah.
So sana may mga trigger mechanisms that need to be reviewed every so often. There should be some kind of a tier planning like our neighbor Thailand is doing. They also knew that the extremes can happen. So sabi nila, pag tier 3 na yung condition, rationing. So dapat meron tayong ganyang kind of planning, and communicated very well. I think this is where I like the way the president was the one who talked about it, like how Singapore did it last week and the other our neighbors in the region. It means that this is something that is very important to the leaders, and it's not just it will just go away. This is the importance of communication and planning, and explaining it very well to the people.
Sir, there was some discussion last week dun sa congressional hearings as to whether or not the DOE should be given the power or the authority to put a limit to how much profits the oil companies can be allowed to make, especially during times of emergencies. Of course, you have to balance that with the idea na would an oil company or people investing in the oil company, would they pull out or will they use that as a hedge to keep government from trying to impose that control? What do you think of that?
Firstly, you have to amend the oil deregulation law, and second, there are mechanisms that should be able to do that. There, sinabi I listened partly to that hearing. I heard Secretary RC saying that the PCC has the ability to investigate if there's collusion, if there is parang excessive profiteering, pwede rin naman mahanap yun doon, So that means it's a balancing act. It's if either you push them away or you bring them in, diba? So you have to balance that. So I guess dahil emergency situation tayo, we are all imagining yung abrupt bringing back of things to normal. So dapat din, kaya nga sinasabi ko kanina, yung realization that the reality is that Darwinian moment na to. So mag-a-adjust tayo, but at the same time, we have to prepare and communicate it very well. So that is a possibility dahil emergency situation. But however, yan ang kailangan lagyan mo ng timeline, until when is there such kind of halimbawang i-control mo yung price na yan. But I mean, at some point in time, kung sumobrang taas, until when mo kayang i-control or sabihin hindi ganyan ang profit nyo, mahirap eh. Easier said than done.
I think Ronald was
Pero-
trying to ask.
Professor,
Yeah.
yung ginawa ng ano, kasi nag-announce si Sharon
Ang mind-
Garin over the weekend kung magkano yung ang ibababa ng presyo simula bukas yung 20 point something for diesel. Yun, pwede bang parang ano na yun sabi niya, at least sabi niya, yun yung minimum drop. Sabi niya, pag hindi daw sumunod yung mga pwede silang sumabit. Yung ganong approach, parang ano na yan di ba? Parang medyo may konting price regulation na yan. You think yung ganong approach pwede?
Parang moral suasion basically yun kasi technically I think the oil companies can argue, no, they can set their own price. Ang kaya lang dahil the government, even the president announced it, so you kind of have like a range na hindi ka pwedeng lumayo dito, no, so that still does not limit the oil companies or the retailers from setting prices, pero I guess because presidente nagsabi, no, morally suited ka na hindi pwedeng malayo, di ba? So that's one way of doing it, no, without really going into the law and changing things.
Pero di ba, Professor, nakatali yung kamay ng gobyerno? Halimbawa, kahapon, tsaka kanina, medyo galit si Secretary Garin sa mga oil companies. Pero mukhang hanggang galit na lang siya. Wala naman siyang sinasabi na pwedeng gawin yung gobyerno para ma-pressure yung mga oil companies para tumulong dito sa crisis unprecedented na ito. Di ba may problema tayo sa mindset? Dahil yung mga ibang mga heads of state, Singapore, Malaysia, etc., nagsasalita sila, gusto nilang harapin yung crisis from a strategic perspective. Tayo, nandun pa rin tayo sa short-termism
Yeah.
Sa very tactical. So, katulad ng excise tax, dinesisyonan a month ago, tapos ngayon, hanggang ngayon, ay hindi pa rin malinaw
Di ba, implement?
gagawin. So, lumulubog tayo doon sa short-termism ng ating mindset. So, hindi katulad ng ibang mga bansa na nagsasalita na strategically. Dahil sabi nga natin, kahit hindi ito babalik sa normal nagbago na yung mundo Nagbago na yung mundo. Yung normal na iniisip natin, hindi normal no? Hindi na normal. No? So, kailangan ayusin yung mindset both ng private sector at nung ating gobyerno.
Yeah.
Agree.
But in terms of the measures that you've seen the government roll out, Professor, ano pa ang kulang? What have they not thought about? I mean, you've seen examples from other countries. It's both a targeted subsidies, it's both tax suspensions, it's also, so in some cases, food vouchers. Ano pang hindi natin ginagawa?
But basically, meron tayong lahat nun. No? We all have them. But yun nga, I guess, lang, no? Yung the way you roll it out and the way you explain it, I guess yun yung challenge natin. It's a matter of aligning it. Kasi nga, among the ASEAN countries, for example, at least, no, we are the ones limited by fiscal condition. Very limited yung natin yung flexibility natin diyan. Kaya I think diyan naiipit yung decisions, no? Kasi saan kukunin yung resources for that. I mean, I was thinking of like for example yung pinagbabasihan ng ating oil prices. That's also a possibility. Tingnan natin kasi weekly yung ating changes ng based on the means of plot Singapore. I think if I'm not mistaken sa analysis ko, Vietnam and Thailand do 2 weeks yata yung kanilang pag-adjust, no. So hindi ko alam kung may kinalaman yan sa batas or other factors, but baka pwedeng pag-aralan na wag kasi ang likot masyado I was looking at the data of means of plots. Talagang every day, no? Ang likot. Kung every day yan, at market or market ang basis niya, no? So, buyers and sellers market yan. Anytime, can go up, can go down. So, with the volatility caused by the uncertainty, currently still existing, ganyan talaga, no? Like as of now, wala pang trading, wala pa nakikitang changes. Pero yung na-reflect ngayon, it was because of last week's decline in prices. So, kung pwede sigurong habaan ng konti yon, ewan ko, baka pwedeng it can help a bit.
So, lumulubog
Prof.
ka.
Pero pinag-uusapan natin yung nipis ng ating fiscal space. Pero bakit tayo yung pinakamataas ang increase sa oil? Hindi lang dito sa ating mga neighbors. Kung hindi practically, isa tayo sa top 3 na pinakamataas ang tinaas ng oil at saka in that case inflation sa buong mundo. So, hindi pa lalong na-exacerbate yung ating pagiging manipis ng fiscal space. So,
Yeah, kasi pag tingnan natin yung if you look at the nakikita yun yung fiscal space natin. So pwedeng nakikita ng mga investors or those looking at the foreign exchange market, for example, that we have very limited fiscal space. So nakita natin yung effect dun sa peso immediately, that the government will not that the government has limited buffers to fight the inflationary effects. No, kaya makikita mo siya lumalabas siya sa peso, lumalabas siya sa ability natin to buy oil outside. Kaya nga yung isang iniisip ko doon yung MOPS nga, yung averaging kasi tayo isa sa mga mabilis sa pag-adjust sa presyo Kaya it could have been the reason why we have one of the highest increases. Kasi immediately nare-reflect natin. Yung others, nakapag-adjust pa sila. And they were like, for example, Vietnam, nagtanggal sila ng temporary tax nila. So, hindi lumabas yung full effect sa kanila.
Professor, how serious is the threat of stagflation? Marami na nag-warning ng ganyan
Yeah.
Well, stagflation can happen if kung talagang yung wala pa tayong economic growth. Kaya nga we have to balance it na wag humina o bumagal yung ekonomiya kasi mataas na yung bilihin tapos mabagal ng ekonomiya, walang trabaho, yan na magka-create ng stagflation. So we want to avoid that. So it's a balancing act of keeping the economy moving. Albeit mabagal, no? Definitely we will slow down significantly because of it. But hopefully, wag lang tayong magkapare like what happened during the pandemic na naging severe negative contraction ang nangyari sa atin. So we
But,
want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, there are already signs of this, Prof. Last week, both the World Bank and the ADB cut its growth forecast for the Philippines. The World Bank cut it to 3.7% this year, which is very, very low, considering we started at 7% or so. And ADB naman cut it to 4.4% for the Philippines. At the same time, yung inflation from March came in at above 5%, 5.1%. So both lines are trending in the wrong direction. So we're starting to see signs of that. What do you think?
Ano pa yan? I mean, they don't necessarily mean we are going into stagflation. It's just a slowdown. You're seeing a slowdown of the economy, which is normal because of a shock that we are experiencing. The only thing you want to avoid, like I said, is don't go into contraction and a severe contraction, meaning continuous. No, during the pandemic, there was contraction, but the inflation was low. Dahil may mga produkto wala lang pambili yung mga tao. But at this point, our problem is high prices is going in and causing the economy to slow down. So you want to make sure that the high prices, like what the president was saying in his proposed measures kanina, yung mga measures, they're all to make sure that prices don't go up, the supply side don't go up very quickly, or manage availability of supply as well. So yun yung critical elements that I guess if we manage this very well, we will still grow, but substantially slower. And inflation can be managed as long as wag siyang pumunta sa pagkain, and that's where you hear the president, no, may mga sinabi siya about addressing the agricultural part of it.
Amy, did you have a...
Tumaas na nga yung fertilizer because of this problem,
Yeah.
Professor. And it's affecting the farm sector severely, no? Kaya ewan ko kung saan kung saan papunta yung anong yan.
No. But yung
We really
fertilizer
need to
kasi,
bring down fuel prices.
yeah.
We need to
Yung-
bring
Yung
Ewan
fuel
ko.
fertilizer kasi, we are not actually importing it from the Middle East. However, the
Affected
global
sa-
prices are reflecting the
Yeah.
the shortage, no?
Urea,
And that's true.
yeah.
Totoo yun. Totoo.
So,
Okay.
the Bangko Central has very limited room now. Before this shock, of course, they were cutting rates, diba? Dire-diretso. But of course, now with this crisis, that leaves them very little room to move. Where do you sit on that argument? Whether they should stay where we are or they should cut rates?
So
Sorry,
the
not cut,
BSP,
but increase.
is siguro is at the level of keeping the rates at the moment, because this is not a money supply issue. This is a
demand.
physical supply issue, demand, no? So the BSP
not
cannot
demand, supply.
do much, directly into it. Kaya this is really a fiscal side solution that you have. But the BSP will have to support it by not increasing rates significant, or kung i-increase dapat very minimal. But I think the stance will be to at least keep it at current levels.
Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
We'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us and explaining all of that. Economist Professor Alvin Ang of Ateneo de Manila University. Salamat,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank
you, sir.
you, everyone.
Salamat,
Thank you,
Professor.
Professor.
Thank you.